Crazy K finally released part 3 of 5 of his interview with Dakota, Felicity, and China Doll. And this part of the interview, there was a few points of interest. The biggest thing I noticed, though, is Felicity she would barely let China Doll talk. She was just screaming, trying to talk over China Doll. She doesn't understand social cues, let's say that. I mean, you could see China, she has so much patience, but even the look on her face was like, shut the fuck up, Felicity. That's exactly how she was looking. I mean, Felicity doesn't realize you let someone finish speaking before you start to speak. See what I mean? She needs a lot of help. Let's just put it like that. So, Crazy K asks China Doll if China is getting paid to help Dakota or Felicity, or if she's doing this with all of her own money. And again, she claims she's using it with her own doing this with her own money, and she's not monetized. I don't understand how she's not monetized, though. I mean, it seems on the FB, I would think she meets all the requirements, but I don't know, because I've been on there for quite some time and have not been invited to I've been on there roughly at least 2 years in professional mode, and still have not been invited to their content monetization program or whatever they call it now. So that, okay, I can buy that. But over on TikTok, she's not monetized. I'm not seeing that. And as many videos as she has had that have hit 1 million plus views with Dakota and Felicity in them, I don't know. But that's her story, and she's sticking to it. And while she's saying this, that she's not monetized, Felicity all of a sudden is trying to scream over her, and yes, I'm going to say this on camera. China said she's going to give us some money. Why? Why, Felicity, would you announce that to everybody? I'm sure that China Doll doesn't really want the whole world knowing whatever sort of arrangement she has with you and Dakota. But Felicity, like I said, no social cues. She can't read social cues. And I mean, she was loud. And you got to think, I think they're in Crazy K's house. So not only are you disrespecting someone speaking, but you're disrespecting this man in his house, too, by screaming and hollering like that in there. Makes no sense. Then Crazy K says that there's been rumors circulating that Felicity is pregnant, and this is true. Felicity decides to get up, and she says, no, I'm not pregnant. I said, and as you can tell, I'm on my monthly. Felicity, how would we know that you are on your quote-unquote monthly? How would we know? How would we be able to tell that? I mean, we know now because you said it, but come on now. So she gets up and she starts walking. Just gets up and starts walking around, and Crazy K says, hey, where are you going? And she answers him extremely rudely. Over here, can't I just get up and walk around? And he says, no, right now we're going to finish this interview. So she comes to sit back, and she's got a hamster in her hands. And she goes to hand it to baby daddy, as she keeps calling him. Here, baby daddy. Even though they have no children. Talking about Dakota. And poor Dakota, he is just shaking terribly. I don't know if that's part of, I know they've said before that he has like tremors like that, but at this point he was still suffering with the sun poisoning. I mean, wow, he looked bad, like he was in pain, like he was really in pain. So she goes to hand him the hamster. Now, why would you just get up at someone else's house and just walk wherever and then just get their hamster? Rude. Felicity has no kind of manners, no, nothing. And all I can say is, thank the Lord that this girl is not pregnant. Then he starts questioning about why they had to leave Tiffany's house. And Felicity goes into this long, drawn-out story that makes absolutely no sense about how they were sitting there just kicking it, smoking weed, and doing things like they do. Now, Felicity ain't been smoking no weed. Come on now. Dakota, possibly. We've seen him, and there's been rumors that he has had problems with substances in the past. Okay, but Felicity, no. And we were smoking weed, and I went outside to smoke a cigarette. We've never seen Felicity with a cigarette. We've seen Dakota with a cigarette a few times. I mean, at one time, Felicity had said she completely changed. She vapes now. I tell you, this girl is something else. So, and they went outside after she smoked the weed, and she was smoking a cigarette, and security came up to her and said that they were harassing people, and now she has a trespass against her at this, wherever Tiffany lives. And Crazy K says, well, was all of this because Tiffany didn't want to put you on the lease? And I cannot blame that girl in the slightest. I would not put those two on my lease, because if they're on your lease, you'd have to go through a legal eviction to make them leave. So this girl was super smart not to go through that. And she says, yeah, she didn't want to put us on the lease. So first it was this big long story about smoking weed and harassment, and you get a trespass, and it turns into now that she didn't want to add you on the lease. And Felicity goes so far as to say that Tiffany is a royal bitch. See what I mean? And she yelled it in this interview. Just yelled it. But she was just hanging out with Tiffany a couple days ago when they made that weird video with her friend, with Tiffany's friend Bianca, who wears the boxer briefs and the sports bras all the time, and they were dancing all around. Yeah, that's Tiffany. So now y'all are best friends again. So I wonder what's going to be said when Tiffany sees this interview, when she sees this, and Felicity calling her a royal bitch. And she said she was so mad at Tiffany because Tiffany wouldn't put them on the lease. Felicity doesn't understand what all that would entail. You know, it was ridiculous. Then he asks about, did they pay Nisha for the televisions that they broke? And she says, yes, they did. And he wants to know, did they pay her any extra? And she says, no, they didn't. I don't know what that... So that's the only reason they escaped consequences for that. I mean, they did go to jail, but then they ended up paying her for the TV, so it never went any further in the court system. So that was the gist of this interview. Felicity being rude and calling people out their name once again. And what's her excuse going to be when Tiffany asks her, why did you call me a bitch? We've seen the video. She can't say anyone told her to say it this time. So how's she going to get herself out of this one? That's what I'd like to know. And then we see Nisha, or on the FB, has a picture posted, 3 beautiful girls. And it's a picture of Nisha, Felicity, and Nisha's daughter. So this group of people is just something else. And let me tell you, I am glad that I am not a part of that friend group. Let me know your thoughts.